All right, and there we go again, everybody. We had a little technical difficulty the first time around here, as we wanted to make sure that we go live everywhere. Meta was having an issue on, was it Friday? Meta was having an issue, and we had some problems with going live, but we're not going to do the same thing 2 days in a row. Want to make sure that you know you're getting the most authentic opinions that we can give you each and every time we step in front of the camera. Per always, you've got me right here on the Patrick Carr Show, and you've got Anthony behind the camera.
Yep.
That's just it. Just yep.
Oh, yeah.
Anthony's just going to be a man of not many words today. Just yep, he's back there. So we had a lot happen over the weekend. There's so many stories that we could cover. We want to try to always bring you the stuff that perhaps the big news is not covering. We want to bring you the stuff that you want to be talking about with your friends this Monday. And the number one story that we have to be talking about is one that is trending a lot of different places. I'm talking bungee jumping, Anthony. If you were online last night like I was and like Anthony was, we saw this story come across our feed, and it is absolutely horrifying, especially for someone like me who's deathly afraid of heights and warns against people doing this all the time. This is something straight out of the worst case scenario out of a horror movie. It's just heart-wrenching. We have to bring this story to you because it's something that when you're traveling abroad and you are working with companies that otherwise may not be. Hey, buddy. Sorry, everybody. We have our Frenchie right here. I'm going to have to put him up. So, hey, Bubba, can we please put him up?
Come on.
So, hey, come on. I know. Come on. You got to go with Uncle Anthony over there. Sorry, everyone. Come here, Bubba. I know. You just a little bit sick today. For everyone, if you don't know, we've got a little Frenchie that's right here, don't we? And he's got an ear infection today. So we're going to put him up. He's not happy with us right now, but he's got himself a little bit of an ear infection. Oh. But this story, man, I'll tell you if I can talk. This story is a tough one, everyone. When you are traveling abroad and you're working with, whether it be some kind of division of tourism or you are working with a company to do excursions, whether it be your zip lining or bungee jumping or skydiving, or if it's just like going out on a ski, like you're going skiing, it doesn't matter, whitewater rafting. You've got to understand that there are not nearly as many regulations in companies abroad as what there are for people here in America. And you want to be careful when you book these tours or you book these excursions that you're working with reputable individuals. This is like I say, just a gut-wrenching reminder of that. I want you to think about this, all right? You're 21 years old, and you're standing on the edge of a bridge. You got a helmet, you've got a harness on, you got your arms wide open, and you are ready to do the old bungee jump right here. That was a story from Maria, who is doing this in Brazil over the weekend on what's called Skeleton Bridge. 3 men lifted her up. 2 of them threw her off of the bridge, and she dropped 130 feet with no rope attached. The rope was sitting on the ground and can be visibly seen through cell phone videos. As she was being thrown off, a witness screamed, "Guys, the rope." But it was too late. To add to the story, everybody, it was her fiance that was filming it. So just think about that feeling that he must have felt. Just, I can't imagine that type of feeling. You're watching it happen right in front of you. There's no word. I don't know how you recover from that. You're watching it happen.
It's just like a helpless feeling. Like there's nothing you can do at that moment. And it's just.
He thought he was capturing perhaps a fun and moment that they were going to cherish forever. He was literally filming his own fiance's death. Now, if this does not make you even upset or sad, think about this, all right? Authorities say that the company was not even regulated. They had no authorization to be operating there. They had to do one basic safety check is it. Nobody made sure it was clipped. They skipped everything and went right to what they did. 3 men, ages 27, 32, and 42, were arrested and charged with homicide. 6 people were hauled off for questioning. The company had deleted their Instagram page before they even had removed the people from the bridge. So immediately they removed this stuff. And what we have here is an absolute demonstration of gross negligence beyond anything that I remember seeing. This is like jumping out of the airplane without the parachute on. This is not attaching the bungee cord to the individual. I have heard some people floated around that there's just no way that people could be this stupid. Was there some kind of nefarious act here in this entire thing? It just seems to me that it's a level of gross negligence beyond anything that could be accidental.
Yeah.
At least it seems that way to me. I mean, I don't know how you could possibly do this. You're lifting someone up. No one sees that the cord is not attached. I'm mind blown by this. I will say this. I'm going to err on the side of this being an absolutely tragic accident because nothing yet points to anything otherwise. But when I think about the heart-wrenching story of the fiance videoing his own fiance's death, and then the level of guilt that you probably have to live with if you're that guy, right? You're going to think to yourself, if I just would have paid attention, if I would have just been looking a little bit closer, if I would have been focused on what was happening in front of me, could I have saved her life? I don't know how you don't live with that type of pain.
Yeah.
It seems like that's probably one of those deals to where you never recover from it. And you always live with that sense of guilt.
And especially with the publicity it's getting, it's one of those where if it was just like that one time, but now that everyone's seeing it and it's going nationally, it's almost like another form of trauma because he has to keep going through his Instagram feed or seeing people talk about his own wife and just the death of this. It's something that I can't even imagine.
Yeah, for me, I think about this story and it's all over Instagram. It's all over it's all over X.
Yeah.
We see it all over TikTok, right? The only thing I've seen something that is just tragic. The last time I did was probably 3 or 4 years ago when the young man was here in Orlando and he was on that ride and it spinned him off of the ride and his family was down below and watched their son die right in front of him.
Yeah.
I mean, what an absolutely terrible and brutal circumstance that was. But here, I mean, this is completely avoidable. And on top of that, they weren't even supposed to be there. This is terrible. I tell people this. I mean, like I say, I want to offer this as a warning. When you're traveling in places that are not in the United States, do you think that everybody takes the same precautions that we do here, or that there's some kind of regulated industry, or because they have an Instagram page or Facebook that somehow they're a legit company that does this all the time? You don't know who these people are. You know, you've got to hope that they do safety checks. You've got to hope that they're a professional company that has processes, procedures in place to prevent something like this from happening. These guys may have done this 1,000 times, but they had no process in place. You know, one person's supposed to check this, another one that, and because they don't, all of a sudden you have a terrible tragedy like this. Be careful who you trust when you go to these places. You know, anytime you travel like a Mexico or something, you got to be careful how far off that resort you go, because you never know who exactly you're going to be dealing with. This should be a stark reminder for people who travel internationally about the kind of individuals and companies you get involved with. Do your research. Make sure you understand who these people are. Talk to people that have used the company before. We're not talking about something where you were going on a canoe ride with these guys. This was bungee jumping off of a bridge. I'd want to make sure that these guys have got every single regulatory thing figured out. And I have a feeling this fiance right here, whoever this gentleman's name is really going to have to live with that. I hope there's nothing nefarious here that happened. But I'll say this, the jury is surely still out on this one when you see something that is just grossly negligent by all parties. This is bad.
Going back to the Orlando one, like the difference between that one and here, it's like the Orlando one, it was like a mechanical error, like there's a ride error, where it's like here, if it was like, let's say the bungee rope snapped or something, then I could be like, okay, you know what, they did all the precautions, or something that the product was bad or something. But it's just these guys just didn't check and see like, hey, I feel like that's like the most priority before you throw off. Like I would be triple, quadruple checking every single time, not one time. All right. And
yeah, the best correlation that I can make is that you check to make sure you've got the parachute before you jump out of the plane. In this case, they simply just didn't attach the rope to the woman before throwing her off the bridge. There is no worse circumstance that you can imagine right here. Absolutely tragic on this one. I wanted to just give our opinion just because I believe it's a great warning to people who travel internationally. Be careful who you get involved with here. You want to try to avoid situations like this, obviously, as much as possible, and making sure that you're working with good people.
Definitely.
Let's move on to story number 2. And this one, in my opinion, is the biggest joke of the day. Folks, if you have not heard, a company called Hoppa just dropped a study ranking America's top party cities, and Orlando, that's right, Orlando ranks number 3 on that list, tied with New Orleans, behind only Las Vegas. I want you to let that sink in for a minute. If you've been to downtown Orlando, you would probably be thinking, what Orlando are they talking about? Is there another one that we're not aware of? Because it's a freaking ghost town down in that area. Now, it's an absolute nonsense that this is the case. So we wanted to dive a little bit deeper into why this was, Anthony, okay? So we are, of course, the minivan capital of the world. More minivans are rented in Orlando than anywhere else. So top 3 party city, of course, is going to, is an absolute joke. First, you have to look at who created the poll, who created not the poll, but who created the ranking. And it was created by Hoppa, who's an airport transfer company. All right. They book your shuttle to get from the terminal to your destination. That's all. And so wouldn't you know it, if you actually look at the list of how they ranked the criteria, at the top of that list is airport transfer time. Pretty convenient then that they ranked Orlando number 1 when they're doing so many of these transfers. But when I see a list like this, West 2 and other local news outlets have picked this story up like it actually means something, and it means nothing. Then you look at how they scored it. They looked at the number of venues, Google search interest, affordability, and guess why we have so many nightlife venues here? Because 75 million tourists come here and they want to get themselves a little Miami Vice after they get off of, Splash Mountain, Space Mountain, whatever it is. And so we have downtown Disney that skews these numbers through the roof for Orlando. It is not anywhere except for families booking out bars and renting out late and then making late reservations all across downtown Disney. That's it. And it's City Walk. It has nothing to do with the city of Orlando. This happens all the time, everybody. And you know what? Shame on you, West 2 News. Honestly, to put out a study like this that makes it look like it's somehow combating the narrative that we make on this show, that the downtown life is dying, that entertainment in Orlando is dying, and you just put out this without even looking at who puts it on, without doing any kind of research and saying, oh, wonder where this number 3 ranking comes from. Hoppa, an airport transfer company, and they're ranking us up there with New Orleans and Las Vegas. Why could they want to do that? Oh, because they're the ones who are putting together the transfer from the airport to wherever the destination is. So, of course, they want to make that city sound like it's a great place to go. But when you see local news outlets that cover this stuff, like West 2, we found the story from them. And then you look at this and you go, why would you do this? Well, what it shows is that you're in the pocket of the politicians in this city, and you're trying to push a narrative that is simply false. This is a story that anybody in their right mind should have looked at West 2 News and gone, yeah, we definitely aren't running this crap. But what West 2 did is they went, how do we go ahead and push the narrative that things aren't really that bad downtown? Because we keep on getting all these stories from people about how bad it is and dangerous it is. And I'm sure that the local politicians have talked to these people and said, we need to do something about this narrative that we have in downtown. People are starting to say it's really unsafe. We have business owners going on podcasts and saying that they're losing their business because of our policies. Please find us some stuff that's going to give us some goodwill and some good news downtown. Oh, no problem. And then West 2 rolls out this BS study that we're the number 3 party destination in the country. Anyone who believes that, I got a bridge I can sell you, all right? It is an absolute piece of crap. It should never be ran by a traditional outlet or a legacy outlet like West 2. It should never be put out there at all. We should be solidly disappointed that our local news channels are covering this type of thing. It goes to show you the coordinated effort that this city has in Orlando to make us seem like everything's okay. Look, we are a great place that people want to come and that's a vibrant entertainment district. No, it's not. This study is completely skewed by Downtown Disney and by, or whatever it's called, Disney Springs and City Walk. That's it. Everywhere else, a complete ghost town. And West 2 knows it. But for whatever reason, they decide to run a story like this so they can keep on with the same crap narrative that they've been pushing and other news outlets have been pushing for years. Everything's fine. It's going to be okay. Meanwhile, more businesses are closing downtown, more problems in Orlando. But let's just wrap it all together like we do, Anthony, right?
Yep.
And what do we say? Oh, well, look at Central Florida and how good it's doing. No one ever focuses directly on what's happening in downtown Orlando and the failures over and over again. And it's because of stuff like this, where West 2 and others mask the problem and run stories without doing an ounce of research into who the study comes from. Like HAPA, an airport transfer company, is who we should be trusting to give us statistics on our city when it's airport transfer time is what's looking at what's important in this study. Honestly, shame on them, because this is why people feel like there's no one looking out for the city of Orlando, because our local news channels are running crap stories like this, just trying to, I guess, get behind what politicians are telling them. I can't think of another reason you run this crap.
And I think it's kind of sad too, because even for me as like a local, I've been here for about 10 years now in August. And it's like, when I first came here, I was like, oh, I'm not going to go to the tourist destinations like Disney Springs or City Walk. I'll just go to downtown. But now, as downtown, I've seen it change over and over again. I'm like, I'm leaning more towards those tourist attractions now than I am to my local downtown, because it's not the same as it was. And it's just not as good. And
you have to.
Even, I think it's just, I don't feel safe going there. And,
that's it. Safety is the big key.
And Disney Springs, I think it's bigger than downtown, like how foot traffic is.
Absolutely.
And it's
100%
safer because the downtown it's small and they haven't got it in check. It's not.
So you get 75 million tourists that are coming to Disney every year. When I first moved to Disney, when I first moved to Orlando, my first job was to be a concierge, right? Yeah. And I was a concierge at Marriott. It was a great first job to have. I got to learn the city a little bit. I loved the gig. You sat there and got to talk to people about their vacations. It was wonderful. I was over at the vacation club side, so I would go between different resorts. It was a lot of fun to be a guy in his early 20s talking to people about their vacations every day. But when people are at these resorts, they are not going to downtown to go do something with their family. They're looking for things to do around the attractions because that's what they understand and know. Their kids want to see Shamu, or they want to see the Marvel characters, or they want to see Mickey Mouse or princesses. They don't want to be in downtown Orlando dealing with bums and dealing with people on the street and vagrancy. They don't want to be down there at midnight with their kids and being catcalled as a family as you walk through downtown streets when people loiter all over the place. So what they do is they stick to the downtown Disney Springs. They stick to the places that are the touristy places, because even though you're going to pay more, at least you're going to be safe. Mm-hmm. And nobody is going to downtown. Nobody goes outside of that little area, the tourist bubble, because you don't want to send people there. And I'm going to tell you, if you're a concierge at, I don't know, the Contemporary Resort in Disney, or you're at the Yacht and Beach Club, you don't want to send a family to downtown Orlando. Why would you? It's too much of a risk. You'd have to tell them the exact place to go, exact time to get out of there, where to park, hope they don't have to deal with a bunch of crap and they get stuck down in that area. You want to make sure that you keep the families that you're recommending places to safe. You want to make sure it's places that you can rely on that are consistently good. And so you have all this tourism that's coming in, and then none of it is leaving that bubble that we have, because nobody who would recommend that they leave that place would ever want them to come to downtown Orlando or anywhere outside of what is already right there inside of the tourist trap bubble.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I look at this, I just really think West 2, come on. Like, how much in the bag for politicians in this area and our city council do you have to be to run a BS story like this? It just makes no sense.
Yeah.
I mean, anyone in their right mind would look at this and laugh. It is a laughable study, and one that if you are a traditional media outlet here, like West 2 is, you should never, ever have this on your page, because somebody should, within half of a brain, should look at it and go, yeah, we're not running this. Like, even we have to look at this and go, no, don't think so.
It's like McDonald's running a story saying like, what's the best fast food place? And it's like McDonald's ranking itself as like number one.
Yes. It really is crazy. Let's flip over to story number 3 right here. This just also happened last night. Now, me and you are not familiar with this individual too much. I may have heard 1 or 2 of his songs, but what we had is yesterday a terrible tragedy with an artist, Oliver Tree. I think he's very well known for his, not only his music, but his look. He's kind of that bowl cut that is very unique in the way that he presented himself. Life Goes On, Missed You. He had nearly 20 million followers. Unfortunately, is dead after a helicopter crash in Rio de Janeiro. 2 helicopters collided in midair over a neighborhood around 9 a.m. He was in one of those helicopters with 4 other people. The other one just had a pilot. All 6 were deceased. Let's see here. This 23-year-old YouTuber was also part of the tragic accident. The timing just cannot be worse. He had just dropped a new album in April. He was set to kick off a world tour July the 1st in Portugal. Tickets are currently being sold for that tour. So yeah, basically this was bags are packed. He's ready to go start that. And then we have a terrible accident directly like this. They are investigating how this could even happen with 2 aircraft over an area exact same time colliding in the sky. And we don't have any answers yet, but what we do know is that 6 families lost somebody in their life. And while we always want to think like every life matters, I don't want to take away from the other 5 that were there, because everyone's life is valuable. Obviously, Oliver Tree is going to be the most well-known of them, as I said, with over 20 million followers and a world tour about to kick off. But every life is surely valuable. And this just goes to show again, like really understanding the people that you are working with. We talked about the story earlier today about bungee jumping and the terrible accident there. And was this one as well? And that one's in Brazil as well. So yeah, we have 2 tragic accidents coming out of Brazil. All right. And when I see the story like this, I think everybody, when you see something, you immediately think of Kobe Bryant. You see helicopter crash where we lose somebody, Kobe Bryant. A very, very tough thing to lose people so unnecessarily in these terrible accidents that we have here, right? Mm-hmm. I just think that we really need to make sure that, well, sometimes there's nothing we can really do, Anthony. Sometimes it's one of those deals to where tragic accidents happen. And I don't know the story behind this one yet, but I wanted to cover it because, well, it's just tragic when you lose somebody so needlessly as 2 helicopters colliding in the air. I mean, what are the chances of something like that happening? They've got to be so remote. I immediately went to the thought of Kobe Bryant and, the loss of life there. But maybe sometimes in life, there are just terrible, terrible, tragic accidents that we can't explain. And to me, this might be well within that right there. The videos of this, the aftermath, they're tragic to look at. For those of you who are not aware, when the debris landed, a lot of people don't recognize this, but we were doing an electric car company. It landed in the parking lot, igniting even more flames. So it was one of those deals to where the debris flew 45 firefighters had to go put out the blaze. It was something crazy because of it landing in this electric car parking lot, where, everything went down. So just a terrible, tragic accident right there. 2 out of Brazil, though. I didn't realize that till we were doing the story currently right now. I want to switch gears over to business here for our 4th story of the day. It is a sleeper, but one that we should be watching very closely. Today, Fox Corporation announced it is buying Roku, everyone. The whole thing is worth nearly $22 billion. $163 a share, cash and stock. Now, why does this matter, everyone? When you think about what Fox just did, Roku isn't just a streaming stick. Here is the key, everyone. They are the operating system behind more than 100 million households worldwide. The Roku channel, first-party data, meaning that what they're going to get to know what you watch, how you watch it, the length of time that you watch something, and that kind of data is worth a lot of money. So Fox, of course, has their crown jewels in live sports and live news. They also have their Tubi service, which not a lot of us are familiar with in America, but it is popular worldwide. And so you've got what now Murdoch is calling a defining moment for Fox. You can't, the irony is that they had a controlling stake, by the way, in Roku. Fox actually sold it back in 2020 for $58 a share, and now they have bought it back for $160 per share. I guess they kind of did this the wrong way. They sold low and bought high on this one. But I really want people to understand that we have a shifting dynamic when it comes to entertainment in this country. And this is just another example. We've seen Paramount. We've seen others that have made their big plays, Netflix. I was really surprised, though, when I took a look at the numbers of where people are watching television. I sent them over to you. What was the top 5 that we had right there, Anthony? I know I sent to you on Slack. And there was a really surprising Nielsen rating study about where people are actually getting their news and their entertainment from.
Let's see.
I've got it pulled up here, if not.
Oh, you got it? Oh, okay, cool.
Let me take a look at it. So what would you think? Where do you think most people watch videos or watch entertainment or watch content? What do you think is the number one avenue?
Is it YouTube or is it just social media?
YouTube.
Okay.
It's YouTube by far. More people get their media from YouTube than any other, and it's not even close. 13.5% get it from YouTube. The next highest is Disney, 10.5%. Okay. So after Disney, it drops off. NBC Universal, 8.4, Netflix, 8.2, Paramount, 8.1, and then it drops off to Fox at 7.2. So Fox is making their play right now to get into the game. All right. They're purchasing Roku. They want the data. They want to understand you better. They want to get into 100 million households with the Roku device. And so this is going to be a big play for them. But when I look at the complete dominance of YouTube right now, it is not even close. They are dominating this game. Oh, yeah. And so people think about like Netflix being number one, but really it's not. It's YouTube through and through. And so more people are consuming content on YouTube than ever before. And this is just Fox play to say, I need to jump into this top 3. How do we make it happen? We need to get the data. That's what we need. We need to make the data happen.
I'm surprised that I thought Netflix would be over Disney, but I guess makes a lot more sense. I guess a lot of families get Disney because then they have to watch the kids with that. So it's I think a lot more households get Disney. So
well, this is the Nielsen's latest media distributor gauge. So I've got to assume that Disney also is going to include things like ESPN and ABC. The one thing that Netflix, in my opinion, is struggling with is how do you get into other markets besides movies and shows?
Yeah.
It seems like everybody else is attempting to diversify. YouTube with YouTube TV. And you can go in there and watch any of your sports games, and YouTube TV is great for that.
Yeah.
Then you've got Disney, which is diversifying their portfolio right now. Obviously, they want to get into the ESPN streaming game. But Netflix is struggling right now because they don't have another wing outside of shows and TV. And so I think that what you're finding is that Netflix is kind of caught in this middle ground right now where they have the name recognition, but they don't have another avenue, another vertical that they are able to get into.
Yeah.
At least that's what I see right now.
I think too, also with the Fox merger, because so my fiance, she works over at Live Now from Fox. So like they do like all the streaming services, like the news for like Fox News. But she was saying too that she's saying that a lot more people watching the news from streaming services rather than local cable networks. So she's saying that like the streaming is the next avenue for a lot of these media companies or news companies. So so a lot of her stuff, it goes on to Roku. So she's
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, like, think about this. I wake up in the morning. If I'm on my way to work, let's just say it's
Yeah.
5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm on my way to get my bagel like I do. Where am I going to get the news from? Am I going to go to Wesh News and go to their website? No.
Mhm.
I'm going to go to YouTube. I'm going to put in the channel that I'm looking for, and I'm going to find their channel on YouTube is where I'm going to go.
Yep.
And then if you're not broadcasting live from that channel, I'm not going to watch your show. I'm going to find one where they have early morning US, whatever it is, and I'm going to find that channel that I can watch the most up-to-date stuff from YouTube, right? And so I think shows, I'll give you an example. 60 Minutes was in the news last week, and 60 Minutes has done a terrible job of this. Like if you have a 60 Minutes clip, they will absolutely copyright you if we try to put a 60-minute clip on YouTube. They don't understand how modern media works, and that's why they've continued to fall behind. They were in the news last week for one of their main anchors saying basically he doesn't want to be a part of it, the show's being ruined, blah, blah, blah. But some of these traditional media outlets have got to understand that the way that media works today is you need something to be shareable.
Mhm.
You've got to have the shares to be able to get the story out because nobody is tuning into television. So you're never going to be able to get enough viewership by just watching on your one channel. You need to make things that are shareable so people begin to watch and want to see more.
Mhm.
This is why shows like, let's say a PBD, they do well because you'll watch a clip and then you want to go see more of it, or you'll watch a short and then you want to go see more of that audience or more of that show. And these traditional media outlets are doing a very poor job of doing that. And so when I see Fox doing this, they're buying the data. They're buying the Roku stick that sits there inside of everyone's home and understanding what you're watching, how you're watching it,
Mhm.
when you're doing it, what kind of sports, how are you viewing these other competitors of theirs. And now they have direct access into that data that you're going to have every day. And so for me, this is a data game for them. And then they will adjust how they market to people based on the information they get by immediately having access to everything on Roku.
Yep.
Right. It's an interesting play for 22 billion. I mean, Roku's got like 2.5% of the streaming market. That's nothing. But what they do have is that Roku stick, right? Which
Yeah.
is like how, that's what it is. How people like you have Netflix on it, you have all this done through Roku.
Yeah, because I don't think a lot of people watch because I think there's like a Roku app, but then
There is.
but then not many. But like I have like 3 or 4 Roku TVs at home.
Yeah, they have a Roku channel, right?
Yeah.
But no one watches the Roku channel, and that's not the reason that Fox did
No.
this. Fox did this for the Roku stick, whatever, or the Roku,
Or that homepage.
the homepage. Yeah, that's what they want, and they want to understand what you're watching when you're watching it. In 100 million households, they are gathering that data like that, so you can be sure as soon as their AI has access to it, they're going to know everything at a macro level about 100 million houses. And then they're going to start to put their marketing towards, oh, we had no idea, here's what we need to create. Here's what we need to market, when we need to market it towards them, when we know they're looking at that. It's that damn Roku screen that is going to be the game changer for Fox if they can move into the top 3. That's where the value is in this merger right here.
Definitely.
All right, we need to turn our story to number 5 right here. If y'all were under a rock, you might have missed this, but Sunday night, UFC, Freedom 250 on the White House front lawn. It was Trump's 80th birthday. It was a celebration of America's 250th birthday. And there were 2 big headlines that came out of this, and I'm not going to be talking about the fights. Everybody, you go online, go anywhere and talk about the fights, okay? I'm not talking about the fights. I want to talk about the 2 stories that nobody else is talking about right now. Number 1, heavyweight, Josh Hokit. Hokit. I can never pronounce it right. Let's see here. First, we have heavyweight Josh Hokit. He knocks out Derek Lewis and grabs the mic with Joe Rogan right there in the middle of the stage. We're all used to those post-fight interviews. He says this, quote, out of nowhere. And lastly, Michelle Obama is a man. Am I right, America? Now, we're not going to go into whether true or not true, and we're not going to go into that. But there's been some conspiracy theory since 2008. And Hokit said it before. He said it again in the biggest stage of his life. It's just one of these deals that I think is a very interesting thing that is happening within the UFC. Well, let me back up. So I want to back up here for a second. So first of all, the guy grabs the mic. He ends his speech with Joe Rogan in the middle with, and lastly, Michelle Obama is a man. Am I right, America? hands the mic back to Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan basically just says, all right, just like that, we're out. That's the first story of the weekend. It's a crazy story that no one's covering. It was tough for us even to find the video of that one. And the second one is Sean Strickland. He's the actual UFC middleweight champion. He claimed he was being banned from the event over his criticism of Trump. Dana White's response was, quote, Sean Strickland is banned from humanity. So what does Strickland do? The man shows up, jumps into a fan fest ring, chugging a beer. He gets swarmed by fans. He's hauled off by Secret Service. He may be looking at a disorderly conduct charge. He said, quote, I don't know what that is, but it sounds cool. So we had two fighters, two spectacles outside of the fights that happened in the ring. And I think that this is indicative of a bigger issue inside of the UFC that Dana White needs to be prepared for. That we are seeing more and more right-wing sides of the UFC. You're seeing people that are, Israel versus America versus pro this. The UFC is becoming a place where there's a lot more fighters who are becoming politically involved. Sean Strickland, this guy. And it's because Dana White will allow his fighters to express themselves. I also think it's a big risk that you take when a guy is all hyped up after a fight and then you shove a mic into his face and you want him to say something that's politically correct. He feels like he's on top of the world and invincible. And when you have someone like Sean Strickland, he's understanding that attention is everything. And so what he's looking for is, hey, I've told everyone I'm going to do something. I can't just not do anything. So now he feels like, hey, I've got to jump into a fan fest right now and I've got to make a scene, or otherwise I'm going to be looked at as somebody that is a E. So that's what I would say. And so this to me right now is indicative of what's going on within the UFC. And I believe that you've got to be careful a little bit here if you're Dana White. I like the fact that the UFC I think it's been tending more free speech. I think it's been trending more towards conservative men between the ages of 20 and 40 watching the UFC more heavily because they feel as though they have an audience that they can relate to, right? And I think that that's a really awesome thing. But are you alienating people by allowing this to be such a place that gets politically charged? And I think that they're towing that line within the UFC right now between great, everybody loves you because you've got this right-wing audience that feels like they found a home. That's why you have fights in the front lawn. You got people jumping things in motorcycles. You got all sorts of crazy. I mean, it looks straight out of like a movie, like a Kid Rock movie out there, or a Kid Rock music video from like the early 2000s, late 90s. But what happens to the other side of your audience, right? Because it's not just going to be the right-wing guy between 20 and 40. I love it. I think it's great. But as a business, Dana White has got to be thinking, are we starting to push this a little bit too far this way? And we're going to begin alienating a part of our audience who is just here to see the fights. I don't know the answer to that, but it feels that way. When you go watch a UFC fight lately, it feels like it's geared more towards conservative right-wing guy between the ages, let's say 20 and 40. Okay, cool. And there are other people who enjoy the UFC. Are you going to turn those people off? I don't know. This is something where Dana White has always been a free speech absolutist, in my opinion. I think he's run the thing very well. I'll be very interested to see what happens to the UFC and their demographic over the next 5 to 10 years.
I almost feel like, in a weird way, I feel like they're taking a playbook up of like the WWE. Like it feels almost like you don't really care about the fights anymore. I feel like now it's become like almost like this theater play where it's like a lot of the beforehand and after, like all these like things going on. Whereas before, like I feel like 10 years ago, whatever, it was more of like, oh, who's gonna win this fight? Who's gonna win this? Now it's like no one really cares about who's gonna win the fight. It's more of like, oh, what's gonna happen with this tension, or like feels like more theater than it is the fights.
It does feel that way. And I think it also has to do with the fact that there's so many more fights now. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you remember back, like how many years ago it was when the UFC first got started, it felt like there was maybe one fight every couple of months. Yeah. And it was a big deal because that fight was going to be the first, like one a quarter, it seemed like. Mm-hmm. Every 3 months you had this big title fight in the UFC. Then it seemed like it was one every month or so. Now it feels like there's a fight about every other week in the UFC, maybe every week. And And because of that, I think that they're trying to sell it more. They've got to do more to sell this thing. Now we're doing something like this in the front lawn of the White House. I think before we've talked about the sphere inside Las Vegas. So when you think about this, they always are trying to up the ante on a sport where the sport itself doesn't change. You still have two guys that have to get into an octagon and they have to fight. Now you have to find a way to sell this thing up more and more and more in light of there being more fights, and people get bored. I mean, you could have something to where somebody loves the sport or likes the sport, but after a while, you're seeing it every week. You've got to fight for their attention against other things that are out there right now. And so you're right. I think there's more of a showmanship around this, more of a entertainment factor than what there was in the beginning. And of course, the real beginning of that was, I mean, at a real scale was Conor McGregor. And what Conor McGregor was able to do for the UFC was nothing short of Floyd Mayweather. He was by far, the most influential person in UFC history, because of not his fighting, but because of his entertainment factor.
Yep.
Because he was able to draw people in who are not UFC fans to watch the story unfold. You either wanted to root for him or you wanted to hate him. You wanted him to win. You wanted to get his ass kicked. You wanted one of those two. And because he was such a polarizing figure, now we have this, in my opinion, vacuum that the UFC has been trying to fill since he left. And they're trying to do it by building up some fighters. They're trying to do it by venues. And I think they're really struggling with their fighter personalities inside of the UFC. And I'm not a huge fan, right? I don't watch avidly, which means that I'm an average person they're trying to reach. They want someone like me to tune into the show. And I say the show because that's what it is. And if I'm not getting in there and I'm not watching it, I'm not thinking I want to go watch this fight, then the average person is not doing it either. And then they're just remaining with the average UFC audience that you have, which is good. But I think they're having some character development issues, much like WWE, where they're having some character development side here. They need fighters that are going to be polarizing. And in some ways, it seems very manufactured right now. Like Sean Strickland doing this, like, okay, great, man. Chug your beer and make your point. And now what? Okay, you're gone and out of there. And now you become one of those people. Sorry, everybody. We have he's snoring like crazy back there. I know. So very interesting on this one. And we'll see what happens. I think that they're, character development, if they can find another couple of people in there for the UFC that they can get behind, then I'm sure the sport is going to be fine. But it'll be interesting to see what they do next to top such a crazy event as the White House front lawn for America's 250th birthday and our president's 80th, whatever. So that
maybe UFC on the moon or something, SpaceX, like, oh, let's go.
Right? Like, where do you go from here?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'm trying to think, where's the next thing that you do a fight at after you've done White House front lawn?
Yeah, definitely interesting. I don't know.
I mean, do you suspend an arena like somewhere above, like, I don't know. Trying to think, like, what iconic landmarks could you do a fight at? Like, what are the most iconic landmarks in America?
Middle of Times Square. I don't know.
Middle of Times Square would be good. That's a good one. So Times Square is a good one. Yeah, that'd be it. I'm trying to think what else could you do here? Can you look can you look up real quick? Yeah. Top 10. What are the top 10 most iconic landmarks in America? I'm trying to think, where could you do a fight? Venice Beach?
Grand Canyon?
I said I was thinking Grand Canyon. All right. Can't do Las Vegas because Las Vegas is every fight for them. So you can't do anything Las Vegas. How do you top White House front lawn? What else you got?
I mean, Grand Canyon, Statue of Liberty, Golden Gate Bridge, Mount Rushmore, Lincoln Memorial, Yellowstone National Park, Gateway Arch, Alcatraz Island, Hollywood sign.
But you have to have enough places where you get people, right? Like Alcatraz would be crazy. But how do you get more people to be able to watch it, right? I mean, the White House is arguably number one. Statue of Liberty, not enough room. I'm thinking what a backdrop. I mean, the Grand Canyon would be an interesting one.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there'd be some places with the Grand Canyon you could actually put a ring. You could actually put people there, make a great backdrop in the Grand Canyon. I think that'd be possible.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird because like once you get to the White House, what can top that?
What about Cuba?
Cuba.
What if you did a UFC match in Cuba? I'm just trying. What would be one of those things where it would draw people to watch because of the actual venue itself?
Oh,
What do you got?
the Colosseum of Rome.
Ooh,
That would be kind of sick.
there it is. That's how you top the White House right there. You do a UFC in the Coliseum. Holy crap.
That would be kind of sick.
That'd be sick. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Rome would never go for that. But I mean, but wow.
I mean, hey, I would never think they would do it at the White House, but I guess you never know.
That's it, man. If you were going to top the White House, you go, man, gladiator style, the gladiators of today. I mean, it sells itself right there.
Yeah.
Now for me, I am untraveled and uneducated. Could inside of, I mean, the Roman Colosseum is falling apart. I mean, they can never do anything inside of there, in my opinion.
Let's see. They might have had some events. I think they had concerts there.
Really?
I think so.
Can we confirm that?
Yeah, let me see. Oh yeah. Where is it? Are they still do they still hold events at the Coliseum? Not the way they used to do, but there's sometimes concerts and occasional events occasionally in the winter. So not too much.
But it's possible.
But it's possible.
Now that'd be interesting. Okay. I think that's where you do it. If you're Dana White, you go to the Colosseum in Rome and you make a big spectacle out of that. Because, I mean, that's like today's gladiators face off against one another. Have they ever done that? I mean, I don't want to say something stupid, but it seems like that would be the only place that I can think of right now that would be a huge draw. I think the other thing you could think about doing if you're going to go international is you could go to Russia. I think the Russian would be interesting, that Russian side, because everyone thinks about Rocky Balboa, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone thinks about Rocky IV.
Yeah.
So if you had a great American champion against a Russian contender, or you got a Russian champions against an American contender, Russia would be a great place to have something like that go down.
Oh yeah.
I mean, everybody who's over the age of 30 would immediately think of Rocky Balboa and Rocky IV. Mm-hmm. So Draco and that whole thing. Yeah. I mean, that would be a fun one if you had the right people to fight. You had the right main card. Mm-hmm. Russian champion, American number 2 contender, and they're going to Russia to make the fight. That'd be a great one.
That'd be pretty cool.
Trying to think anywhere. Australia, nothing really there.
The Sydney Opera House, but
that's the only thing they're known for there. So yeah, I'm not thinking of anything else right now. Roman Coliseum seems like if they haven't done an event there, that would be the place to go.
There's I saw like the Eiffel Tower maybe like an event out there.
Good backdrop.
That would be kind of cool.
Because you'd have a good backdrop right there with the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah. Pyramids.
Okay.
I feel like there's some things I like.
Oh, man. Excuse me. That's why I drink this throat's dry.
Do they do a lot of fights outside of the U.S. or not really? It's mostly
they don't, but I like the pyramids idea.
Mm-hmm.
Pyramids is good. Pyramids, Colosseum. What was the other one you said? Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
All right. So if we named it, I would go pyramids as a backdrop number 1. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
Especially if at night and you could light up the pyramids in the background, something like that.
Like red, white, and blue, like the.
Oh man, now you don't know if you're going to get them to do that in Egypt, but I'm trying to think. So you had pyramids number 1 for me. I'd go Colosseum if they haven't done it. Number 2, I'd go Eiffel Tower. Then number 3.
Yeah,
and that's only if they haven't done it. So I could be a complete moron, and they've done one in the Colosseum already, and I just wasn't paying attention. But I just think today's gladiators in yesterday's arena, a fight to the death type deal. But I think it'd be great. So there we go. There's our top 3 places. That's how you top the White House, which is going to be extremely difficult to do. I think it was a beautiful event, and we had these numbskulls who decided that they were going to do some things afterwards that, of course, caught the headline. I want to move on to our final story of the day right here. This is going to relate to our Florida residents, all right? Qualifying for the governor's race ended this past Friday, the 12th, and the field to replace term-limited Ron DeSantis is locked in. On the Republican side, the man to beat is Byron Donalds. I got to admit, I'm not sold on the guy. Byron Donalds, okay? Let's talk about the guy. Donalds is a congressman. He's out of Naples. He was elected in 2020, and he got Trump's endorsement then. He got it before he even entered the race. He has raised over $81 million from 35,000 donors, a record-breaking quarter. He is backed by Rick Scott. He's backed by someone we love, Grady Judd, over in Polk County, and 17 of Florida's 20 House members. It's going to be an interesting one right here. And this is a tough one for me because I will vote for him because I believe that he's going to be good for Florida over anybody they're going to put on the Democratic side. But I got to admit, when I watch clips of this guy, I find him to be a very manufactured, tough guy. He seems as though, to me, he's someone who is trying to play a role that he's not comfortable with. I think he's got conservative values, and I think he's going to do well for the state of Florida, everything that I can see. But I don't think he's being himself. I think lately he's been doing a lot of grandstanding when he comes to challenging people and trying to be that guy, kind of like a Josh Hawley out of Missouri. If anyone ever watches the guy who gets you the gotcha moment, and he really when he's interviewing people from the floor, and he doesn't seem like he's that kind of person. I think he wants to be a strong guy. He wants to be a tough guy like DeSantis. And I think he's trying to find out who he is. And I think that's a struggle for him. Mm-hmm. I watch him make comments about some things, and I go, you can tell you're not comfortable with how you're having to put that. But because you're the Republican, you're that guy. You have to be a DeSantis. You have to be like a Trump. There's got to be a level of pressure, I think, from him where he's got to put on the performance, and he's got to be hard-nosed, and he's got to be tough, and he's got to fight the Democrats. I don't naturally think that's who he is. And that's just going by personal opinion right here. I don't think there's something wrong. I think he's going to have a branding issue because I don't think that he can keep up this act for much longer because he's going to be on a national stage and running for governor of Florida. Governor of Florida is a national stage race. It's not like you're sitting down there in Naples and you're kind of sheltered off from the rest of the state, which Naples, that whole area is. It's like its own little area over there. You're about to be thrown into a national level of scrutiny. And I think that a lot of people are backing him, says the right things. But this whole rehearsed kind of, I'm a fighter and I'm going to, fight back against, I don't think it's who this guy is. And I think we're going to see that fall apart a lot in this general election for governor. That could hurt him. If people see him as being just a pawn for the Republican Party and not someone who truly believes and thinks like he does, and all he's trying to do is just appeal to the DeSantis base, you could have a problem right here. And I think that's what's going to happen. This is not me saying I know anything about the guy. I've never met him. But I watch his videos, and they just look like he's uncomfortable up there trying to be the tough guy that I think the Republican Party wants him to be.
Yeah, I don't really know too much of the guy. I haven't seen a single clip of him or anything. So, but I don't know. Maybe I kind of like that in a sense because maybe he's more in the middle and he's just trying to be whatever, just trying to be good for Florida, whatever it can be. So maybe he's not too much on the right and he's not too much on the left. He's just in the middle, but he has some views on the right and he just wants to meet in the middle and just make it better Florida. So that could be.
I hope that is the case, right? There was one poll that has him losing to Democrat David Jolly, 46-42. And in general, Jolly right now is running on things like affordability in the state, rent and insurance being a problem. And so, one second here, live show. Hey, Brantley, can you put it on hold for just 1 second? I got you on hold for just a second. So he's got to do everything on affordability, on the side, insurance rate hikes that are killing people. This is something the Democrats will surely go after against Republicans. I've said before, outside of Tallahassee, I am a Republican. When I've gone up there to lobby on behalf of roofing contractors, I turn into a Democrat because they're the ones looking out against the insurance fraud from the insurance companies that is going on in the state. So we'll keep a close eye on this race. Let's see how it shapes out for old Byron Donalds right here. Okay, everybody? That's our show for the day. A lot of great topics, from bungee jumping, the rankings of Orlando, a helicopter crash, Fox News acquiring Roku, all the stuff having to do with the UFC. Byron Donalds. Tomorrow, I'm going to try to get to this Rubik's Cube story, everyone, because that is interesting. But we'll take a look at that. Have a great rest of your Monday. We'll see you tomorrow here on the Patrick Carr Show. Brantley, how are you?
Pretty good, man. How have you been?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good.